Steel boots stomping, crashing the floor. Two wild yinzers kicking through the door. Loud like a jag off at a Pins game fight. Brace yourself, this ride ain't polite. Two dumb yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burb with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two dumb yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice.
The backyard brawl, Mike. Of course, the college game between the Pitt Panthers and West Virginia, the date, the time, all that fun stuff was announced. Pitt will be playing West Virginia for the 108th backyard brawl this September 13th on ESPN. It's amazing that that's still such a big game.
I know it survived, the Big East no longer being there. WVU, they're in the Big 12 now. Pitt, the ACC. So it's nice to see that rivalry still going on.
It's odd to me though, because I mean, this to me personally, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people from Pitt that love this rivalry, but I don't see the fun in it. I don't know. I think that it's more fun for West Virginia because it's like, oh, this is the big city that's close to us, and it's like, But for Pitt, and again, I get it because it's a rivalry, and I get into it. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't get that. It's not really backyard. It's still almost a couple hours away, and why is I don't know. I don't know. I don't get the West Virginia thing. I just never did. And a lot of times when we were growing up, remember, you get them schedules from school.
Yeah,
we'd have like the high school, the college, and the pro football schedules and whatnot. They were always included. It was always like Pitt, Penn State, and West Virginia. And I just think, why? Why don't we just include Cleveland in there?
Right. Well, especially I can understand West Virginia. Because you're technically that backyard brawl. Penn State rivalry was still going on, but it was waning at that point. Penn State just joined the Big Ten and everything going on with the Big East. But I get it. I see where you're coming from. I get it.
I mean, there's just nothing to it. They're not interstate. They're not inter anything. Again, we're as close to Cleveland. I mean, you might as well throw in Ohio State as one of our teams. It's odd to me again, but I get it for the rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
And also, to be able to be a rivalry that withstands time and everything else. And, you always see these oddball rivalries that a lot of people don't know about, maybe Minnesota versus Wisconsin or whatever that is up there. But it's big. It's big for the region.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I just don't get it. I think a Penn State and Pitt would be the best for I think that the fans would make that so much better.
Yeah.
Than the West Virginia and Pitt. All the people in West Virginia want to do is just burn shit down and shit like this after. I think the Penn State could be a lot of fun, man. A lot of jawing back and forth.
Yeah.
Because
when that rivalry restarted, it Pitt upset Penn State in that first game. That kind of took the sails out of Penn State that season. They were rocking and rolling with Godwin, Saquon Barkley, Trace McSorley. I think Jesse James was tight in there, if I'm not mistaken. They were rocking and rolling, had a really good defense, and that just kind of took the win out of the sails for a little bit. That loss right there hurt us later on in rankings and in bowl games. And Pitt was able to talk shit for years off that one.
Yeah. The only reason it really caught my attention, this backyard brawl, Mike, is because they both both of these teams, Pitt and West Virginia, they were featured. They were featured on the new college football game. The EA trailer for College Football 26 came out, and I guess in the trailer video, it has a video of Pitt scoring a touchdown in the backyard brawl game. But just within the same swoop, they did come out with the schedules yesterday. Who's that? Is that me?
Yeah, that's you.
What is that? Where's that coming from? Where is that coming from? There we go.
do you have a second screen up?
Well, yeah, but the volume on the second screen hasn't been up in months. I have no idea why I would
Well,
have
it's like
volume.
I went over and clicked on a second screen down here too, and same thing. I always have it muted, and it started playing.
But yeah, I mean, Pitt, West Virginia. There you go. A couple other games were announced as well. But we'll get more into that as time goes on. Mike, it is not going to be that long. It's going to be college. It's going to be high school. It's going to be pro. All of our football is going to be going strong here. Won't be long. Good morning to Corey Beavers on the board. Corey says, hey, guys, I know you're going to talk about it, but the fact that we're going to talk about Jonnu Smith over a wide receiver two tells me we're in trouble. We have as many tight ends as Cleveland has quarterback. You ain't kidding. Welcome to the show, Corey. We definitely will be getting to that for sure. The Steelers are, they're looking for a move. They're looking for a move to make, and they keep saying a playmaker opposite side DK Metcalf. I didn't know that included adding our 26th tight end to the team. But again, Jonnu Smith yesterday, at some point after the show, did come to my attention, Mike, that we are in talks with multiple teams, Mike. Not just Miami with Jonnu, but apparently there is talks. Let me see where I have it here in my notes. Steelers engaged in trade talks with multiple teams to add an offensive playmaker opposite side DK Metcalf. Mike, give me a little bit of what you know.
Yeah, the same thing, because the report about Jonnu Smith that came out first. There were, because Jonnu he doesn't want to be in Miami anymore. You can see the writing on the wall that it is what it is down there. So, and he's only due for like $4.5 million this year. Very affordable contract, very affordable under the cap for this team. Fits what they want to do. Blah blah blah. And I got more about Jonnu Smith later, so I'll save that. I got a lot of stats digging into that. But then, like a few hours later, the report came out that they're also looking at wide receiver playmakers. So that tells me that they're all in this season. They're looking to round out this roster. They're to make the offense more explosive. Now, whether that's building around Mason Rudolph, whether that's waiting for Aaron Rodgers to sign, that they are actively looking for playmakers. And say what about Jonnu Smith? His numbers last year scream playmaking tight end. Scream him and Freiermuth over the middle, DK Metcalf on the outside, a playmaking wide receiver. But this offense is not going to look like anything we've seen in the past 4 years.
I mean, every year we thought that maybe it was going to be a little different from the year before. I still have to see to believe it if it's going to be anything progressively moving forward from what we have, Mike. But
Yeah.
Again, you could only put so many tight ends to a game at one time. I mean, we're setting records here with the amount of tight ends that we have. It's truly incredible what's going on. I mean, we do have a handful. And again, the opposite side, wide receiver playmaker. I mean, who's all out there? Again, this would have been a very interesting conversation way back at free. Oh, wait a minute. We did have this conversation way back in free agency. This might have been a good conversation around. No, we did have this conversation way back around draft. Why? We're waiting to the last minute. Everyone went through the ringer. Basically, the only people that's left out there are people that can't be afforded by teams and people that aren't necessarily wanted by teams. So this late push is telling people that they're in. But I'm just confused by this team anymore, Mike. I don't understand a lot of times. Again, this could have been something that could have been addressed a lot earlier, and you could have actually got somebody that was worth it. Again, Mike, I mean, we all say we brought in Mike Williams last year, who was a big addition, and again, I mean, you see what that was. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know if we're ready for the big push. And again, if they're all in, they're all in. And you know what? Good for them. Maybe we'll win some games this year and make something happen. But at the end of the day, it's kind of confusing what's going on. And I don't know whether it's by design or whether they kind of keep trying to cover their tracks as time goes on to cover some of their shortcomings, perhaps. Again, we haven't seen any great leaps and bounds on this team in any area over the past 4 or 5 years, I wouldn't say. We did some things this offseason that might make a difference. Again, we're in the same position we were last year with just a number one receiver, not really a number two. So I can see addressing this issue. But again, packing your tight end room full of players, it just to me seems like do we really have an idea what it is that we're doing and what we want to do and where we want to go? Because it's not very clear, I don't think.
Well, Arthur Smith's offense, he likes to run a lot of 2 tight end looks. And Jonnu Smith last year made a Pro Bowl. He had 88 catches for 884 yards, 8 touchdowns. That would have been our number 2 receiver numbers last year. That would have been he had more touchdowns than George, more catches than Pickens, and just like 100 yards short or less than DK Metcalf. That this guy is a playmaker. This guy is a weapon.
What that tells me is this: if he caught more than George Pickens was our number one guy. Yes, we didn't have an ideal quarterback or offensive situation, but the fact that this tight end put up better numbers than our number one tells me they just had a whole different situation. They used him a lot more, against teams that maybe weren't. Again, Mike, this dude had better numbers than George Pickens. That tells me, again, that this is not a normal situation. Is it going to be another Eric Ebron? Is this, we're going to bring somebody in here and have, and what are we going to do with this tight end room? I mean, how are we going to base our whole team around tight ends? I just don't think that's. Well, again, if we're going all in, getting a bunch of tight ends, I don't think would be the answer.
You run Jalen Warren, Caleb Johnson back at running back, DK out one wide receiver position. You have Jonnu Smith, who can line up. He's had a lot of snaps lined up out wide in the slot and in line in the typical tight end position. So has positional flexibility. He can bounce anywhere around on that offense. Frymuth can play in line and on the slot. Darnell Washington is more or less your inline tight end, your blocking guy, and you hit him out on those little flare routes or seam routes down the middle. Then you sprinkle in Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin III.
I mean, in theory, it sounds great. You're painting a pretty picture. There's no two ways about it. But if it plays out like that, I'd be greatly surprised if it plays out like that and it's a success. And again, you have other teams who are building on the success that they've had recently, where we're still trying to find ourselves. If you're adding a tight end to kind of tweak your game a little bit, like you're mentioning maybe using these different tight end packages, for teams that already have something going on. But when you're a team that don't have a whole lot going on, again, people are going to be able to focus in on DK Metcalf a lot more than you would be if you had George Pickens' opposite side. Is bringing in this tight end that had a good, had this good year as an All-Pro, the only All-Pro for the Pro Bowler for Miami, which is, again, is impressive. But what does that tell you? For one, he was on Miami. For two, the competition for Miami is different. And for three, I just, Mike, again, the situation has to be different down there. If he was making better numbers than our number one receiver, he's not going to get those opportunities that he got in Miami, in Pittsburgh, no matter which way you slice it.
And that was without Tua for a bulk of the year. You have Jalen.
He brings the numbers down.
Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So Waddle, he had better numbers than Waddle. This guy, he had more yards after the catch than Justin Jefferson. He ranked 4th in catches for tight ends, 4th in yards for tight ends. He had 8 touchdowns. I think that puts him tied for 8th in the league in touchdowns last year. Tied for 13th overall in the NFL in touchdowns. He's an offensive weapon. Don't just look at the position. Look what he can bring and where you can spread him out throughout the lineup. If he was just, he's built like a wide receiver too. Not like a wide receiver number 2 position, but he built like a wide receiver as well. He's that type of tight end, and he's good. He's good in the pass block, good in the.
Because how many times have we brought somebody in that it was just supposed to be, okay, we got this, we're gonna get so much more, and they lay out the numbers the way that they have. Like last year, you were telling me how much better Russell Wilson was this year, whatever, and I bit into it. I'm again, I've heard Jalen Waddle's name many times. I've heard Tyreek Hill. Apparently this guy was good. I mean, maybe people that are really, really into football and maybe some Miami people could definitely tell you more about him. I don't know. He's nothing, in my opinion, that's going to be, again, do you feel that this guy's going to come and make that huge of a difference? I haven't seen enough by the Steelers team over the past few years to believe that this is going to be the big. Again, maybe this is part of the plan. Maybe they're going to bring him in. Maybe they're going to bring Aaron Rodgers in. Maybe they're going to have this big, this passing game that's going to blow our minds. You know what? If they do, fantastic. But I don't see anything. Nothing indicates that that's going to be the case. Again, you're taking numbers out of the AFC East. Yes, you do play the Buffalo Bills, but again, you're getting, a couple against the Patriots, a couple against the Jets, and their low, their fourth place schedule. I'm sure landed them a lot of easy games throughout the season. So again, it was a bit of a surprise, Mike.
We complain that we're not, adding firepower to the offense, and we are
maybe we should
get about who adds firepower to the offense, and now everyone.
Well, everybody adds firepower. Last year, Mike Williams was supposed to add firepower, and guess what? He really didn't. Come on, he had a big catch in the Washington game, and he tapered off the rest of the season. Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields, they were supposed to add to the passing game. Well, that didn't necessarily go well. It was just about as good as it was with the quarterbacks prior to them. So again, I'm ready to see. I'm tired of stop. I'm tired of hearing. I'm tired of hearing that this guy's going to make us so good. I'm tired of hearing that we're going to do this. We haven't done anything in a long time, and until something happens that's positive and that's going to make us get excited as fans, I don't see how this is going to be any different.
I don't understand how almost 900 yards of production, 8 touchdowns,
again,
10 yards.
Put it in context though. You put it in context, Mike, that's more than our number one receiver. So that tells me it's a totally different offense, which means this guy's not going to get that production in this kind of offense.
It's still production. He's
everybody.
So we don't want to add all pros to the team anymore. We don't want to add Pro Bowlers to the team anymore.
Yeah, look how that's working out. We're paying a whole bunch of them a lot of money, and they're not producing.
Right, so we're just not going to sign anyone then.
No, that's not the case at all. You have to sign a lot of people actually, but our Pro Bowlers that are taking all of the money up are not producing. So let's bring in some more Pro Bowlers.
Let's bring in $4.5 million. That's easy money right there.
Again, everybody that's going to come in is going to do great things. But the fact of the matter is, we've been doing this year after year, and I'm not falling for it this time. I'll listen to the arguments, but it doesn't make sense to fall for it and say, oh, this guy, he's going to come here and do amazing things. Nobody has come here and done amazing things.
So they shouldn't sign anyone.
No, but again, I'll repeat this again so you hear. I'm not saying that you have to sign a lot of people. You have to sign at least 53 people. Yes, but I'm just saying this is where we're at. We weren't talking about Jonnu Smith before. We weren't talking about this. We woke up yesterday and we got news that we're in talks. So now this guy's going to come save. This guy's going to have he has all these numbers. Again, I have to see it to believe it with my own eyes. Time after time after time, we've been fooled. I mean, we got an all-pro quarterback last year, a Hall of Fame quarterback last year. Things were supposed to be better. They weren't better. So again, I have my doubts, and I hope that you can respect my reasoning behind it.
I do.
But I tell you what.
It's Friday. I want to needle you a little bit.
But the thing is, I don't want to leave people on the board waiting. Corey says CIA spies on right. That's right, they do. Them son of a bitches. Ever since I started going to the Illuminati meetings, CIA's been real funny. Corey says if we give up more than a 6th at a tight end and we don't want them, but we have other. Why draft tight ends? Why draft Muth? Why draft Washington? I mean, if you could just go out and get a Pro Bowler from Miami, I mean, that solves the problem. Again, this is not gonna. I just like I said, I have to see it to believe it. For where things have been here for this team for the past decade, I have to see it to believe it.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Corey also says if they bring Jonnu in, that makes me think that they're going to build the offense around Warren and Johnson. Mark Malone, what's up, brother? Mark Malone says busting the midget damn the offense to hell.
Every time I see busted and midget in there, I just think of Derpy's midget porn.
Yeah, me too. Matter of fact, I was thinking of that before he said that, but Mark Malone also says we now have the firepower. I hope I do see, Mark. Your optimism, I love it. And again, I hope you're right. You'll see. I think that's the way to conclude that conversation, because that's the only way that I think, again, we're seeing a lot of the same thing over and over. Once it starts to change, then maybe we could have that conversation. But there's not been much change in the past 10 years. Say what you will. John says Ryan's beard comes with Steelers scar tissue from the previous sale jobs. There's spirits in there, demons, spirits.
There's demons in there.
Mark Malone also goes on to say we're going to have a huge stacks of cash to spend next year. Followed up by saying we'll getting guys that have not been tainted by Tomlin's coaching and is a step in the right direction. John says Steeler fans believe that black and gold uniform can be the fountain of youth. Exactly. Or automatically produce future Hall of Famers. And then Mark Malone says, I get it. Seeing is believing.
Yeah, that belief of Steelers fans, like you immediately put someone in black and gold, they're great. That's, oh my God.
That's Pittsburgh.
I've been hearing that since like the 80s.
I mean, we have with our hockey team. I think we have the oldest team by average in hockey. We bring back Andrew McCutcheon to be the the catalyst behind the
right?
turnaround in Pittsburgh after he was gone for 10, 15 years, whatever it was. I don't know. It wasn't that long, but and the Steelers tend to I don't know. So again, guys, a lot more questions as time goes on. I hear going into June, here over the next day or two, will be in the 6th month of the year, when in fact the 7th month of the year we start camp, guys. We're that close, when there's still a lot of questions. They're pulling some last minute moves that they could have certainly pulled before. They could again, why wait until June to make significant moves that are going to affect your team in how good they're going to be ultimately? I think is kind of crazy. You don't see other teams doing that unless you're getting a good deal, which this dude maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to argue Jonnu Smith all day, but again, if
Jonnu Smith,
anybody who feels that Jonnu Smith is going to come here and take this team to the Super Bowl, I'd love to have a long conversation and pick your brain. But again, the Steelers multiple. Right here, Mike, it says Steelers engaged in trade talks with multiple teams to add offensive playmaker.
Yeah.
And again, I'm all for making the team better. If you bring Jonnu in here, but again, you just drafted 3 years ago a rookie, 4 years ago a starter. So what, these guys aren't playing? Why did you draft them? You didn't think this guy had potential? Okay, maybe you want to use a different style. I don't know. It's just guys, it just seems like there's still way too many questions with this team. And obviously, starting with the top, we don't even know if our quarterback is going to be here or high on ayahuasca or chewing bark or whispering to the gods. We have, Mike, there's so much to this team. And the optimism, again, I just wish that I had it. I don't know if much really makes sense. I'm kind of hoping that it all kind of starts coming together at some point. But again, we're heading into June. A lot of these issues are taken care of by teams a lot earlier than this.
Well, we also have the post-June cap cut. So you're probably going to see a decent amount of veterans cut for cap reasons. And teams are still tinkering with their roster up until training camp, even all the way through training camp. You'll see guys cut that you're surprised about. You'll see guys traded that you're surprised about. So it's happening throughout the league. We just only know because we're just laser focused on the Steelers, but there are moves being made out there. But no, I like adding more firepower to the weapon.
News every day.
Adding more guys to the offense
to find stories to talk about. I'm just not seeing any blockbuster move, anything at this point that's going to make a bunch of sense at this point. It just feels like a team that don't have much going for them, grabbing for straws because it's like, oh shit, we kind of lost our number 2 wide receiver again. So now we have to find an answer. And let's pull in Jonnu Smith. Let's talk to him. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
But I know, trading Pickett was a good thing. We're trying to, limit the amount of distractions that we have. And, he was one of the big headaches, and he's a guy who's not going to be here next year. And, you don't want to deal with his nonsense. Get rid of him. So you only have to deal with one player's nonsense potentially. Limit the distractions to one person. If you're going to have distractions, don't have multiple. We saw what it was like when you had Lev Bell, AB, LeGarrette Blount, those guys causing issues off the field. So if you only have one idiot on the field, that's fine. You can deal with that. But no, I'm all for it. Like adding Jonnu Smith, I think would be a good pickup. Ideally the offense that Arthur Smith likes to run has 2 tight ends, sometimes 3 tight end sets with a running back or a lone receiver, guys lining up in different spots, creating mismatches. So I'm all for it. And there's still Keenan Allen still available. What's his name? Hold on. Amari Cooper is still available. There's a couple guys there that you can get, even a Tyler Boyd for a slot specialist. So you can have. There's still guys out there. There's still moves to be made. Teams that have an abundance of wide receivers might be willing to move someone for like a 5th round pick if it's the right move,
So let me
6th
get
round
this
pick.
straight.
So
A lot of people want to move forward. They say the old school Steeler way isn't the way anymore. You got to move forward. And going back to the Arthur Smith offense is almost going backwards in a sense for a team like the Steelers, because that's where we come from. We come from an organization, a system that often runs, multiple tight ends through our history and run the ball. So, I mean, what is it that we want? I just sometimes I think people will talk to hear themselves talk. I don't know if you necessarily want to lose the old school, because, again, at this point, we'll take whatever gets us wins. And if Arthur Smith's offense consists of 2, 3, 7, 19 tight ends, whatever the case may be, and we go back to old school Steeler football and we start winning by pounding the ball, it is what it is. And again, down the road, I'll tell you why that's not going to work in the playoffs. But again, this is where we're at, Mike. And it's just, again, there's just way too many questions going into June. I don't recall this being a thing for the Steelers in the past. You tend to get all your, you do a lot of your cleaning up and you get done early enough to where, again, it's very last minute. It looks desperate. Whether it is or not, I don't know. A lot of things are looking kind of desperate for the Steelers these days. They got to get back on the right track. What's the answer? I mean, there's things you could do. There's things that we're trying, and there's things that we're trying and failing. So, it's no secret that we're trying to make things better.
yeah,
For this Pittsburgh Steelers team, whether the route that we're taking is a good route, we'll soon to find out. But again, we've went a long time without winning a playoff game, and even longer for making a playoff run. I hope something starts to stick here at some point. Again, like Jonnu Smith, and then also another name, Mike. While talking about making a big pickup, a big splash move on the other side to complement DK Metcalf, this comes across my screen. Steelers checked in with Tampa Bay regarding Trey Palmer, a 6th round pick in 2023 with a total career 51 catches, 557 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So I don't know. We're again. You said they have Amari Cooper, who's certainly been a pretty big productive wide receiver. Not the ideal guy for the locker room, and a couple other guys out there. And again, Mike, we're calling Tampa Bay regarding a trade about Trey Palmer, perhaps. So where we're at, I don't know. What we're doing, I'm not sure. This is again, it's a new era. The Cohen and Tomlin era, Mike, certainly is breeding a lot of questions. And again, if they know what they're doing and it works out, fantastic. It'll be a stroke of genius. But until then, I mean, you have 90% of the Steeler Nation sitting around scratching our heads wondering, okay, well, we don't have a wide receiver 2, but we have about 6 or 7 tight ends. That's normal. You see what I'm saying? There's just a lot of questions. And I think that's a bit concerning for the Steelers. I'd like to see some stuff kind of get tightened up here a little bit. And maybe we will see that moving over the next couple of months. We don't have much time. We will be in camp here. We also have OTAs again next week. We have camp next month. We'll say tomorrow's June. Next couple of days. Next month will be camp. Next month after that is preseason. So again, Mike, I just think that they have to, unless everything's a secret, unless they have a Super Bowl team practicing down there at OTAs, and we're just under the impression that they're running around like the Three Stooges at this point. But I don't know. I think that we should be seeing some kind of answers more than questions at this point, wouldn't you? I mean, we're going to be on the field pretty soon.
Yeah, it's still a ways away. You're still, fine tuning your roster. They were at one point ready to run with DK Metcalf and George Pickens, but behind the scenes antics of George Pickens after that trade, and after they told him they weren't going to sign him to a new contract this year, things came to a head, and he became too much to deal with. So you have to jettison him at that point. So they're playing something like DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Youth, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren. All right, cool. Well, now, hey, we have to find a way to recoup the loss of Pickens. And Jonnu Smith, numbers replace it, man. Doing like little sabermetrics there. Just replace the production. Now you go out and find another receiver, and they're being active in trades. Hopefully, they can find a trade partner, but there are still some available free agent options. I know it's OTAs, but Roman Wilson's looking smooth out there running routes. He's looking like he might be a really good route runner. So throw him at the receiver 2 spot. See what happens. Everyone wants
Calvin
to see.
Austin looks
Everyone wants this team kind of like this year to be a bridge year. Okay, run out there with Roman Wilson and see what happens.
Oh, they're going to. They have no choice. I mean, they really have no wide receivers. Mike, again, we're in the same position that we were exactly. The only difference is Roman Wilson's healthy, so we have no choice but to get a look at him.
Yeah.
Let me get some messages because I've seen something that caught my eye. Corey says, I'm more worried that the organization has all the faith in the world in this receiving core that we have. John says, 2009 was a long yes, that's where I'm at. 2009 was a long time ago. I'm definitely in seeing mode. Too much went wrong when it shouldn't have. So everyone in the front office, to include the head coach or suspect in my mind, I couldn't agree more. I have to be convinced at this point. And 15, 16 years ago, that's come on, that's a lifetime for some people. Mark Malone, there are no questions. There are no questions, my friends. We now have Mason Malone. He can make the most of CA3 and Roman. He follows it up by saying Caleb Johnson will be ripping off long runs. I hope you're right. I hope you're, but again, this is a different level, guys. Is this guy Saquon Barkley? No, but you know what? At the end of the day, you are hearing that this guy is doing pretty amazing things. He is amongst 3 names that were the big winners at the OTAs this week. I'll go over that in just a minute. But we're assuming that this rookie, who's not going to be a starter, he's going to be playing behind Jaylen Warren, is going to get behind this line that really hasn't played together and go out there and rip runs off left and right. I hope you're right. Again, I hope you're right. The optimism, I just, again, it's hard at this point. I've just seen it for too long. This is the 80s and the late 90s all tied into one, what we've just gone through. I think the time period, it equals out. We just lived through the 80s and that 3-year period in the 90s of Steeler downtime. It's time for the Steelers to become competitive again. And I'm not talking crazy. I don't want to see it. We're not going to go undefeated. We're not going to, I'm not even talking about, getting it, being like Kansas City and New England. And, we're that's so far down the road from us. Just getting and having a good season to where we look like we might be able to win a playoff game. And I can't believe we're that far off from that. I don't think being a Steeler fan wanting that is a bad thing. I think that's just anybody who wants to see their team do well. A 15, 16-year period of time is a long time for a Pittsburgh Steeler team. Just in my opinion, guys. But Mike, any other names that you see come across the wire that the Steelers may have interest in with the trade talk? Mike, again, this trade talk picked up yesterday. It kind of died off. There was no prospects, but as of yesterday, Mike, the talk is heavy again.
Yeah, and those were the 2 names I keep seeing is Palmer and Jonnu Smith. I don't know who else, like if they are taking a look at Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper out there. Hopefully they don't go after Gabe Davis. Not a big fan of him. Tyler Boyd, I don't think that's going to happen. If they get him, he's still an inside guy. He's not an outside guy. He's not a number 1, number 2 receiver. So I don't know. I take a shot with Cooper and see what you can get out of him. His production slipped a little last year, but see if he can get back into it. He's
he wasn't necessarily in great environments either. I'm like where he was in Cleveland, and then where'd he go over?
He went to Buffalo last year. And he put up numbers in Cleveland, and then last year he just kind of they went down. He went from 1,200 yards to 500 yards. 5 touchdowns down to 4. Not a big drop there, but the receptions and receiving yards went down. But I'd kick the tires on him. See if he has anything left. He's still he's 30, but is it that old? I don't know.
Oh yeah, it all depends. I mean, in a young man's league, Mike,
I know
the Pittsburgh teams just keep getting older and older. We're turning into a geriatric city, or it's no longer the Steel City. This is the geriatric city. Look at any of our pro teams. We got them, baby. Mike, the winners apparently at OTAs this year: Roman Wilson, Caleb Johnson, and Corey Trice. Roman Wilson, Caleb Johnson, Corey Trice, the three winners. Coined from the OTAs, which again, that's not saying a lot. It's 3 days of practice with
Roman Wilson, Corey Trice, and he was the second one. I'm sorry,
Caleb Johnson.
Caleb Johnson. Okay, my headset kept glitching on the second name.
And again, shorts and helmets and sweats, and 3 days. It's not much, but again, you have to judge off of what you have and what you have in front of you. And as I said, Mike, it said that the winners are Roman Wilson, Caleb Johnson, Corey Trice.
I don't know how much you could win with t-shirt and short practice.
Well, I mean, again,
Mike, going through the drills, showing the coaches what they want to see. And for someone like Roman Wilson,
and that's it. Somebody's going to get on, and Mike, and they're going to go, "Oh my God, how are you going to compare what they're doing in 3 days of shorts and sweats?"
I know, right?
So believe me, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, but it's all about too, how fast are they absorbing the playbook? How fast are they? Hey, we told you this today, and tomorrow you're still coming out and making the same mistakes. Where, hey, we told you this, you came in and you fixed it and you built upon it. The little things that coaches are
all
looking
those
for
little
is really
things
what they want to see in
fixed, Mike, between players is going to be a problem in August and September if we don't get that quarterback signed that people think we are. If Mason runs, we're probably going to be in a better position. The football team overall. Again, at some point, these guys have to practice. At some point, they have to play together. And you know what? It's odd to me, Mike, that the day after Aaron Rodgers was here, him and DK Metcalf were out playing catch. So again, there's just so many damn questions. Why do the questions keep coming and no answers? It's really it's messing with us here in Pittsburgh, Mike.
Yeah, so if we knew what the plan was, no one would be
right. Tell us the plan at least.
Yeah, fuckers. Where's the Illuminati? Where's your Illuminati contacts?
Hey,
holy shit! I forgot I had TJ Watt up here the whole show.
Mark McGuire. Mark Malone. We have QBs that can throw the ball this year, though. That's do we though? We got Mason Rudolph. We have a rookie, and Skylar Thompson. Last year we had Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, a Hall of Famer, a former starter, and Kyle Allen. Again, listen. I'm not jumping up and down and celebrating what those quarterbacks did, but we thought we were going to be okay last year, and then game time came around and was like, hey, our quarterback's a midget. He can't see over the line. Hey, this is this. Hey, that's that. What makes us think that it's all going to be perfect and fixed this year? That we're not going to be saying, oh shit, hey, this guy's this. Oh geez, oh man, I didn't know that this. So again, I'm just that's where I'm at with this team. I've seen the same amount of time that they were bad my whole life in these last 15 years. I have to see improvement before I can start buying into it, Mike. Moving forward here, Mark Malone says, I already told you guys he would before he was even drafted. It has been foretold. I'm never wrong with the steal. Mark Malone, you're usually really close or right on. No two ways about it. Yinzer Joe, what's up, brother? Nice seeing you on the board this Friday morning, sir. Hope everything's going well for you. Afternoon, I guess it is now. Corey Beavers, Tyler Boyd is another receiver Mason has chemistry with that I think could work if Mason is our guy. You know what? I like Tyler Boyd, but it just seems like that's not going to fly.
Yeah,
a couple seasons ago it was an option. I think he even talked with the Steelers. It doesn't seem like the interest is there. I understand that he lives probably 10 minutes out from the stadium, but again, I think if Tyler Boyd wanted to be here, Tyler Boyd would have certainly been in more talks. Mike, agents would have been talking.
And for what was reported last year too, there were rumblings inside the locker room of him not gelling with guys from what happened. Him being in Cincinnati, stuff he said, in reports, stuff he said to players on the field. So it's a locker room thing. It would be a bad vibe. And if you're trying to get that out of the locker room, I can understand you.
Well, let's go with the Aaron Rodgers approach. Let's just not tell anybody, and then we'll throw Tyler Boyd in at game time and see if it all works.
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Well, we're trying everything at this point, I think. Mark Malone says, I expect you bastards to airdrop a few cases of beer to my house after. I tell you what, Mark Malone.
Beer and whiskey, we'll airdrop it, baby.
If Mason Rudolph gets 4,200 yards and 35 touchdowns, I will drive. I'll pick Derpy up, and I will deliver. I will deliver you cases of beer. if Mason Rudolph throws 4,200 yards and 35 touchdowns this season. I will. I will pick Derpy up, drive with Derpy, and come to your house and bring you beer. Yinzer Joe says all our quarterbacks can throw the ball, just not very good. I like that. Mark Malone says, "Who is we? I wasn't part of that. I don't know. What did I miss?
I can't remember.
Maybe I read something wrong. I apologize. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Mark." Yinzer Joe says more like 420 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's for game one. That's what he's doing in game one, baby.
I will. I swear to you, I'm not even talking shit. Listen, if Mason Rudolph throws for 4,200 yards and 35 touchdowns, I will drive out there. And you're a bit away from what I gathered from information from the show, but I'll do it. I'll do it, Mark. Mark Malone, I will do it. I swear to you.
4,200 yards would have made him the 6th highest passer last year.
Exactly.
And 35 touchdowns, that would have made him tied for 5th. If he pulls it off, hell yeah. I'm down.
And
I'm rooting for it.
Oh,
Don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for it.
And I would be so ridiculous with it, telling people about it for probably the next 20 years of my life. How Mason Rudolph put these numbers up in this one season.
Yeah, and how we doubted the prophet for saying it.
Right.
But it's just you're he's not as bad as he was in Tennessee that he showed here, but is he going to be consistently as good as he was in that 3-game miracle run? Like when called upon, that COVID year, that game against the Lions when he was pressed in to start because the league wouldn't change the schedule because our starting quarterback was out. But for everyone else, that's besides the point. He played really well in that game. Should have won, but for a Deontay Johnson fumble and a fumble by Pat Freiermuth, he would have been a hero in that game. But so he played well when he was called upon after his rookie year. Then he goes away, and it's who is the real Mason Rudolph? Exactly. He's been here. It's a different system. How well is he going to know Artie Smith's system? I'm willing to see it, but I just don't know if he's going to put up those type of numbers. I hope he does. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Again,
everybody, and this is the time of year, I guess, to do it. Everybody gets to paint the perfect picture. This is, what I think we should do, and this is going to work, and this is the best option. And I respect every single bunch of person. I really do. Listen, I seen, and I think I brought this up the other day. I seen something, and I think that this is one of the things that get on my nerves, Mike, is somebody made a comment about quarterback position, and another person in response quoted, "You need to go learn football."
Yeah.
And that's one thing you know what I mean? A fan is a fan is a fan is a fan. Whether somebody knows X's and O's, whether somebody knows statistics to the T, whether somebody is a fair weather fan, you know what? You may be right. At the end of the day, there's no right answer in sports. And you know what? Again, I will take that and I will say, you know what? If it happens, it happens. I'm on board, but I will never, Mike, I will never tell anybody that they need to go learn football. You're a grown person to tell another person you need to go learn grown person. You need to go learn football.
Yeah. Professionals do that. Scouts do this day in, day out, and look how wrong they are a lot of the time. And then expect, to act like, we're better than them. Come on now, we can, everyone sees things differently, but when you do it day in, day out, 60 hours a week, you're going to be more in tune to it than us. And then for the casual fan or the people online who tried to be that guy, no, these guys are doing it.
We pay as much attention to sports as some of these people do as a job. I'm going to be honest, I just, working in radio, I guarantee we do this more than some people that are out there. And we stay on top of this 365 days a year. But again, that's what I'm saying. Because I'm interested and I learned a little bit. I'm never going to tell somebody else. Unless I'm in a shouting match and I think that they're wrong,
exactly.
I'm going to tell them. But again, I respect everybody's opinion, and that's why I love our board, and I love the people that comment day in, day out, and I will always respect your opinion, even if I don't agree with it.
It comes from an educated point of view. At least they have logic behind their
Absolutely,
argument.
It's a hypothesis. Their educated guess is as an educated guess, and so is mine. So. At the end of the day, and that's right. Corey says the arm of my chair is a Playboy. And you know what? You know what? As long as you love the Steelers and you want to talk about it, good. I'm not, I thought, what an idiot thing to say to somebody. You're a Steeler fan. You're talking to another Steeler fan. They have a different opinion. And you're going to go and say, yeah, you need to go learn football. What? That's fucking weird to me. I don't know. That's why I love these. That's why I love everybody here. Guys, let me jump back on the board. Right. Yinja Joe, 420 yards, 5 touchdowns is where we went last. Mark Malone, no, you leave that sick bastard at home. I'm guessing he's talking about Derpy.
He might bring the midgets and or Peaches.
Yeah, well, Peaches gets around. Who knows? I don't know if she'll be around.
Yeah,
she's pretty busy. Now that Cookie's 18, there's no no more domestic life for Aunt Peaches. Yinza Joe says, this is real, not TV fantasy, guys. Be realistic. He's not the water boy or Rudy. He's Mason Rudolph. Look at his career. I'm not sure he is capable of a season like that. I agree. And that's why, my next move is going to be, I'm going to walk to Southwest Missouri to see Mark Malone if in fact it happens. Because again, a Mason Rudolph, 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns, not a yard less, Mike, I say, not a yard less. I won't walk to Southwest Missouri.
It has to be on the money.
It has to be on the money.
You have to hit the over. You have to hit the over.
But of course, that is why the bet is what it is. I highly doubt it. But you know what? Again, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Maybe Mark sees something that I'm not seeing, and that would be great if that's the case. Mark Malone does say, I'm in Southwest Missouri. Come on out. We'll go to the Lake of the Ozarks and have a great time. I'm down, brother. Maybe at some point we'll do that. John says, Finch told me I don't know football. That went into my hard drive memory. Did he really?
I remember it now, yeah.
I got to be honest with you. After hearing Finch talking about the nicknames last week of athletes, I questioned Finch a little bit. You know what Finch said last week? Him and Derpy were talking about nicknames. And Chris Sabo, remember Chris Sabo? He was the white guy, third baseman for the Reds. He wore the sports goggles. They beat the Pirates the first of the 3 seasons back in the early 90s. Yeah. And he goes, who the hell is Chris Sabo? And I thought Chris Sabo was a great third baseman. What are you talking about? And him and Derby are going back and forth, and they're going, well, who's this? Who's that? And I thought, ay.
I thought, at first, Steve Sabo, the dude from NFL Films.
NFL Films, no.
Every time, it took me a while because you and I talked about that off air. It took me a while, and I'm like, it dawned on me. Okay, once you mentioned the sports goggles, oh, okay.
He was
not Kurt Rambis, but the baseball version of the sports goggles guy. I got you. Yeah, it took me.
It was just comical again.
Yeah.
But, Finch told John he doesn't know football. Hey. That Finch, Mark Malone, I'm wrong about all kinds of shit. No BS. I adopted George opposite philosophy out of sheer necessity. But when it comes to the Steelers, I swear I have a 20. And I hear you, bro. I really do. It's all of our passion. I mean, and I believe you. I really do. Mark says I said that before the draft. Kenneth, what's up, dude? Nice seeing you, bro. Kenneth says, hello, guys. Do we need a tight end? Why? Do you know any? Is there any available? Because we could sure use one, Kenneth. Out of all the things we could use, I'm sure we could certainly use some more tight ends. John, I'm sorry, Phil the Steel. I started reading the message. Phil the Steel. If Fincher told you don't know football, make sure he didn't play ping pong. That's right. I forgot about the ping pong days.
That's I had a deep cut from last year. I forgot about that.
And John, if you told
ping pong's table tennis.
If Fincher told you don't know, okay, I get you. I see what you say. Kenneth, John, Mason never threw 3 touchdowns or 300 yards during his 3 hot streak Steeler game. I know. Come on, that hot streak was kind of small, very, very small doses, maybe, but we'll see. We'll see, maybe. Phil is still. Good morning, fellas. Let's not tell any 2 dumb Yinzer members you don't know football. Stop it. But guys, so let's get back to some more topics here. I do say welcome, Phil. It's still great seeing you, my friend. I hope everything's going well for you, man. Football season is coming upon us awfully fast, and looking forward to seeing you on the board with everybody else as well. Mike, Joey Porter Jr. Joey Porter Jr. says the cornerbacks are being treated unfairly, he believes, and he believes that there should be more referees on the field to combat this. Mike, I think that the cornerback position is the whipping position in the NFL, especially now that the league has become a passing league and the game, revolves around the passing game. And I think by default, the cornerback position is the position that's going to get beat up, Mike. And you got to remember, these guys are all wide receivers in college or in high school, and they were running backs and quarterbacks and guys that did a lot of different things. Now you're on the defensive side of the ball, and now you're facing number one guys that beat you out ultimately to become a wide receiver. So it's tougher. I mean, you were facing top quality, top notch athletes week in, week out with that guy lining up in front of you. And I just think that, Mike, that by default is the whipping boy position in the NFL, is that cornerback spot.
Oh, yeah. You see it all the time. Like a receiver pushes off, holds a corner, throws him to the ground, and nothing's called. And you see a corner barely graze a receiver, and the refs can't wait to flip out that flag and zip it down there. And like if they're both hand fighting and the receiver falls, you look for that flag to come out. And he's not wrong. And he's not wrong. And hopefully he can learn from last year, or that, like, what most of his penalties came in like a 4-game stretch, and cut down on that and not rely on having to use his hands as much, because he can run stride for stride with a lot of these guys. He has good positioning. But yeah, he's not wrong there. Corners, they have it the worst in the NFL.
Another word out of the OTAs this week, Mike. Of course, Joey Porter, what his comments were on the cornerback position. We touched on offense, Mike, a little bit on the special teams before we do move on. Apparently, Cameron Johnston is kicking the ball better than he ever has. Now, you remember Cameron Johnston before he got hurt last year, the way that guy booted the ball. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, Corliss Waitman did it. He did
a hell of a job.
He held the job and did a great job, but apparently Cameron Johnston is kicking the ball better than he ever has, Mike. That's a great sign for the team, because again, you're working on your offense, defense, and special teams.
It's a huge part of the game, man.
A huge part of the game, and to have somebody that can really boot the ball the way that he can, I feel good. Adding Chris Boswell in the field goal game, Mike. I again, I'm not too concerned about special teams.
No, not at all. Because if he can come back in form in the way he is, not only can he boom it, he's a very accurate punter as well, and it's huge. And like you said, man, Carlos Waitman, he was a savior last year. Because we thought, oh God, Johnson's down. He was here to replace Presley Harvin. We got another year of punting adventures, and he didn't miss a beat. And we're in a good spot to where go into camp with 2 punters and you keep the best one.
And you know what? I think ultimately Cameron Johnston wins, Mike.
Because it was contract. His position.
Yeah. And he got hurt, and I mean, the guy was superior as far as his kicking goes. Now, don't get me wrong, Corliss Waitman was kicking very, very well. I just think that being the starter, having that edge initially, and the injuries what took him out. If he comes back and kicks as well or better than he has prior to the injury, I think he wins the job. Mike, again, because you said because contract also, and losing.
Yeah, and I don't see Waitman not having a job from. Not for being unemployed long. There we go. I could not spit it out the way I wanted to say it. But yeah, a team's going to snag him up, unfortunately. But hell, damn good punter, man. Damn good punter.
Kenny on the board says Slay will teach him to use his hands, but not hold on too long.
Yeah, that's what I do like about last year in practice. They were trying to do that, like wrapping his hands and stuff. Not like just put him in boxing gloves so he couldn't grab.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I did hear that Slay is all about helping the younger CBs and teaching. So that was a big pickup, I think. Mike, obviously, just coming off a Super Bowl win, we'll take it.
And that's what he said too. He also wants to bring a championship mentality to the Steelers, bring it back. And you hate to hear that that kind of mentality has to be brought back to the Steelers, but it's true. And, we have a lot of guys on here who haven't won anything, and bringing in someone like this who has won, knows what it takes to win, and is willing to take the time to help the younger guys. That's what you need to win.
Who was that guy on Star Wars? Bunta, that big blobby son of a bitch thing that
Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah. So Jabba the Hutt. So we're talking about players in winning a playoff game. Apparently, from someone from the Venomous media. With this one, I'll just call Jabba the Hutt. He comes out and he says this yesterday. I hear fans say that the Steelers haven't won a playoff game with T.J. Watt, so they should trade him. And he says this next. He says, "My response: True, but they sure the hell aren't going to win a playoff game without T.J. Watt."
They haven't won with them. The proof is in the pudding.
Right.
The numbers don't lie. And they spell disaster for you at sacrifice.
And again, I'm still waiting for Jabba's prediction on Aaron Rodgers. Again, this was now
days.
What, 2.5 weeks ago. It was the 7 to 10 days it was up that Aaron Rodgers was, it's the person with all the sources and resources, and he's the friend, and he traveled with Pat McAfee, and Aaron Rodgers is his buddy. So again, Mike, I'm not going to take much that he says at this point until he starts speaking accurately.
Yeah,
Jabba over there is saying his response to that, Mike, is they're sure as hell not going to win a game without TJ. At this point, we'll take a win any way we could take it. And if TJ's involved, if TJ's not involved, I just think that's what I'm saying. They always have something dumb to say up here.
Yeah,
media like this, the venomous media in Pittsburgh says the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
I mean, like just look at it.
They really do.
It's there in black and white on the paper. 0-3 with them. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Don't lie to me.
And I just pick on Jabba because right now a lot of people seem to give him a lot of credit. He's holding, but I got my eye on you, and I don't see what I'm seeing is a lot of inconsistency, a lot of bullshit, and people are turning to you for the answers, and it's not right. It's not right. It's not right what Jabba's doing up there, Mike.
No.
Kenneth says, in fairness, our problem for years has been offense. Defense keeps us in game 90% of the time. No, you're right, dude. You know what I mean? Any way you slice it, the past few years, we won a lot of football games somehow.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're not
a lot of it was that defense keeping it close.
They're not pretty. They're 18 to 12 wins. They're 14 to 10 wins. Those are defensive wins. There's no two ways about it. Absolutely 100%. And again, I think just, my complaints about TJ, Cam, and Minka, at some point that's got to give, because as you get older and you get older and you get older, you just can't have older people that are like they're winning the game for you every single week in, week out. You're hoping that TJ punches a ball out after the Renegade plays. You're hoping that again, Minka Fitzpatrick makes a big game-ending play at the end of the game to put the nail in the coffin. How long could you expect these older players to carry this team?
It's true, but you get paid the most. Guess what? The expectations are the highest for you. You have
expectations don't mean results, though.
I know, and but I don't know, man. There used to be a time when we expected the stars to be stars in star situations, and when they don't, it's this, that. I just don't know why we've become immune to fairly evaluating performances.
Let's see. John says two players' growth or lack thereof will determine the Steelers' fate this year. On offense, the player is Broderick Jones, and on defense, it's Joey Porter Jr. You know what? I got to see it to believe it with this Broderick Jones. I've listen, maybe a handful of times I thought, oh yeah, okay, he's looking good there. But there's definitely been many more times than that where I said, oh yeah, dude, stop. Okay, stop, bro, stop. You're fighting. Come on, no, don't fight. Hey, so there's still a lot that I think it's up here. I think he has all the pieces. As far as physicality and all that stuff, I think that Broderick Jones he's a great lineman, but getting this to work with everything else, is where his problem is.
And like I said yesterday, he's coming in slimmer. He's saying the right things, and he probably had that sophomore slump, and hopefully he's gonna grow from that, because right now he's on that Chase Claypool career path. Great 9 games, terrible second year. Let's see how year 3 goes. So,
let's see. Feel the steel all freaking Steeler Nation. We're on Moonball mode, and Moonball didn't do jack last fight. Exactly. When I was telling everybody that we were going to have a tough time in those last 4 games heading into the playoffs, well, we have Russell Wilson's Moonball. is what I was told. We're gonna do good. We're gonna be able to pass it all over the place. We have the moon ball. Mark Malone says, I don't think Rogers will show up till after they get back from Latrobe. If he does show up, he might as well just wait till halfway through the season at this point. John, each offseason with the YouTube podcast, BS clickbait competition in the national media, trying to come up with 24/7 coverage actually is ruining the football experience for me. 5% news and 95% bullshit. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And the thing about these ones in Pittsburgh, instead of talking about, they make shit up. Instead of talking about, the facts and getting stuff out there for people, that's frustrating. Kenneth says Broderick cares a little bit more than Chase. Here's another one, Mike, and I don't know if it's real, but did you see this list of numbers for Will Howard at OTAs? Of course, they don't keep statistics, and don't jump on.
Oh,
and say,
these are the best.
Don't jump on and say
it's my new favorite thing.
Please don't jump on and say, guys, those aren't statistics. It's OTAs.
I love it.
They don't keep track of numbers. Because this is what's going on out there too. Apparently, numbers for Will Howard at this point at OTAs, if it's true, he's been 31 of 38 for an 81% percentage on his throws for 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Almost as good as Kenny Pickett's preseason numbers the year that he did he did really well in the preseason.
When he convinced a lot of us, even me, the big hater, like, we might have something here.
But this, Mike, again, to even the accuracy, I'm not sure. But I see people fighting about this.
Yeah, again, it's these organized activities are designed to make people look good because they want to see, what players have on offense. Defense is kind of hanging back, just mainly that's just like for a lot of drills. They're not going to run and break on balls and try and hurt themselves. They're going to let the offense do their thing so the offense can get in rhythm and stuff like that. It's just comical. I love it, though, man.
Kenneth says, Kenny got me too. Me too. He did very, very well at Pitt, and he became a Heisman finalist. If you're a Heisman finalist, I'm going to give you I'm going to give you the props. I am, and wait till you prove me wrong. And you know what he did? He proved me wrong. So we move on. John says Will Howard Hall of Fame in short stats. That's right, baby.
Hell yeah, baby.
But again, this is another thing I see people jawing about.
It's all over the NFL landscape now, like breaking down like the success rate of.
That's not a bad thing. Again, I mean, it's all we have to go by at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, why not talk about it? Okay, he did well. I mean, that's a good thing, guys.
I want my players to struggle, damn. I want them to look like shit out there so I can be depressed.
I guess
that's
also,
my normal state here.
Who's that other guy, the Rock Taylor?
Yeah.
I guess he did terrible. He looked terrible in the OTAs this week.
Bum.
But again,
remember, Jamar Chase couldn't catch a single ball his rookie year in preseason.
Well, I think that this is a little bit different than Jamar Chase.
But putting it in perspective there. I'm trying to prop up the young man here.
Oh, what else, Mike? What else do we got?
I got a receding hairline.
Let me see. Let me get right here. The Steelers can do quite a bit offensively. No, I don't want to go with that one. How about this? I got another comment by Jabba here. Jabba says Darnell Washington looked very good at OTAs. Another good reason to go out and get another tight end. I know I always say I just love the media up there, man. I love them. He goes on to say Darnell Washington has looked very good at OTAs. I know I always say you can't tell much from OTAs, but you can tell that he's quicker, faster, and more nimble than his 2 previous years. Still got some good hands too. So yeah, by all means, throw it on. But you know what? Maybe Mike, I seen Pat Fryermuth was serving pizza to underprivileged children or something. I seen a picture of this. Maybe he's getting prepared because he sees the writing on the wall. If you can only have so many tight ends, he's thinking, shit, I better start
He's like,
training for another job.
I gotta go get a day job.
Corey says nothing wrong with a little hope. No, you're right. Absolutely right about that, man. Rock Taylor was hurt and self-rehabbing on the sideline. Is Rock not like a rock? Mark Malone says. Hey, Richard, what's up, my man? I was just thinking about you. How you doing today, sir? Nice seeing you as always. He says, my daughter asked me if I believe the Steelers will win the Super Bowl, and I told her I believe they will every. You know what? Me too. At the end of the day, I want them to win every damn year. I come in here and we try to talk some logic and make sense of shit. I come out knowing less than I know before I come in. But again, I just that's kind of my quote of the day, guys. I just think there's a lot more questions than there is answers, and I think going into June is not a good time to have that be your situation.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
All right, we will see. Jen, I do want to say happy Friday to you. I think it's still morning over there in Wisconsin, but I do want to say good afternoon to you as well, Jen. Hope everything is going well. A lot of trade talk today, some surprise trade talk. Again, we leave the show yesterday. No talks of trades. By the evening, we're getting tight ends. We're getting wide receivers. We're talking to several teams here. Verbatim, Steelers engaged in trade talks with multiple teams to add offensive playmaker. So again, whether it be Jonnu Smith, whether it be Trey Palmer, we know the Steelers are making moves, guys, and they're still looking. And as Mike said, there's still a couple pretty names out there. Whether we do get pretty names, which obviously cost you a little bit more money, or we don't, they seem to still be continuing to pursue talent to make this offense better. Again, totally rearranging the skill positions entirely. All the quarterbacks changed. Your number one receivers changed out, switched. Your number one running backs changed out, switched. A new one drafted. A rookie receiver that didn't play last year back in the lineup. Offensive linemen that were injured, all back in. So again, it just feels like, again, you're throwing it at the wall, seeing what's going to stick, and we're putting the work in, guys. So again, who knows? Who knows if it's going to work? Who knows if we're going to be able to do enough to get to that point to where we're going to be competing with the Buffaloes and the Kansas Cities and the Baltimores even, and all these other teams in Philadelphia. All those teams that we've seen in that slide to finish out the season.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be able to get on a pace where we don't go in and get blown out week in, week out with those teams. That's just, to be the team that everybody that I'm seeing here on the board, the team that I want, the team that Mike wants, the team that everybody wants, you have to be in the game with at least those kind of teams. You can't, come on, they were embarrassing. Kansas City embarrassed us on Christmas. Philadelphia, I mean, go the whole way down. Even Cincinnati in that last game of the year was embarrassing. We have to avoid that. We got to be able to avoid that. And again, if you want to be a better football team, you got to figure out ways to, beat those teams that we were beating, Mike, in the scrappy backyard defensive last punch out of the game, fumble, game-changing plays. You got to win those games by more than that. And the offense has to obviously do more than what it's done over the past couple of years. So yes, guys, there's still work to be done. We are working. We'll see. No, only time will tell. Again, next month, Mike, a couple days from now is June. Next month will be camp. Following month, so I mean, we're only 60-some days out, I think, from preseason football.
Yeah, like 98 days till 97 days till regular season kicks off.
I mean, 90 days, guys. Come on,
it's gonna fly.
3 months always. I mean, if it's even that, July, August. I mean, here we are. We're in June. So almost. Let's see. Let me jump on the board here. Richard says he agrees. John says, RJ, don't bet your daughter's college fund on it, and you should be okay. John says, I don't bet over 20. Kenny says, they say Holcomb looks healthy and strong.
Some of the video I saw, he looked healthy.
He's another one that I have to see to believe.
Yeah, exactly.
He had injury issues. We brought him here. He's been injured ever since he's been here. I don't know. The writing on the wall, guys, but Mark Malone says Mason Malone needs nothing more than DK Fry, Calvin Austin, and Roman Wilson.
He adopted him.
Mark also goes on to say Johnson has to pound the rock, obviously. And that's the thing. I mean, he's your secondary guy. You got to keep that until he wins the job. And I got to be honest with you, has Jalen Warren showed you enough to show that his job's even in jeopardy. I think that he's probably going to get it. He's the veteran. He's been here. He's done that. He's going to get the number one spot. And I think that I think it's going to be a successful running game because you're going to continue to run the way they have been. Going between two guys, which I love. If they they can both get the job done, Mike. But
like my hope is like real quickly. And this is no insult to Jalen Warren that Caleb Johnson takes on the number one role, and then you have Jalen Warren as your third down back. Is because
and do what with Gainwell?
You sprinkle him in as well. There's ways to rotate him in there, but
but Jalen Warren's going to be your third down back. I just don't think that's logical, Mike. I just think that he's on the depth chart where he's at.
Yeah,
I think he's really either going to have to really do bad with maybe fumbles.
I don't mean like third down back as like a demotion, but like he's going to be the key guy on third downs. He's your best pass blocker back there. He's your best protector back there. He can catch the ball, but Gainwell, he's not afraid to block. But like I prefer Warren back there. But I think there's a healthy dose.
One thing that we got to say that we still have never seen one guy play a snap in the NFL. The other one looks pretty damn good. So I think the burden is on Caleb Johnson to beat him out. And again, I don't know if it's going to happen unless injuries, maybe a fumble problem starts happening. But anyway, you slice it. I think we got two backs that people do feel comfortable with back there. And add Kenneth Gainwell from the, again, Super Bowl winning Eagles.
Yep.
Maybe things are getting better. Let me do this right here and go. They won't be doing that again. Mark Malone says, John says the Eagles ran the ball 13 times in a row. In insult and a crime, Joe Green is better off gone.
Damn.
Mark Malone says not this year anyway. Kenneth says I think Holcomb was stellar. And the guy moves around really well. Don't get me wrong. He's one of these kind of overachieving white linebackers, and you see a lot of them in the NFL. But to me, him coming here, I kind of, again, what I knew about him was he had injuries. I don't think the guy has a knee or something like this. He's one of these guys that doesn't have like ligaments. I think we have a couple guys like that, as a matter of fact, right now. But the guy had leg problems. He had knee problems. And I knew that. And we've seen him play how many seasons has he been here now? Is this 3 years?
I think he's out all of last year. Yeah, this is year 3 for him.
So, again, the guy is – if he can stay on the field, let's see it. I'm more than happy because I don't know the guy. I don't know the guy that everyone keeps telling me that he is. Again, I knew he was one of these, like I said, kind of an overachieving linebacker, but I have to see him play. We could go on and on about the guy all day. If he hasn't played in 3 seasons, it's hard to go by that. Gainwell will be kickoff and third down usage. Richard said third and long back. Mark Malone, guys, Johnson will be taking the majority of carries in no time at all. Again, I hope you're right. The guy has not played a snap in the NFL, but if he's everything he's cracked up to be, guys, it sounds like he's going to be a really good running back in the NFL, which make a lot of people really happy, Mike, especially. But on this team, we haven't struggled at running the ball, even with a bad situation on offensive line, even with bad situations with the offensive coordinator. Even if we didn't have a good running game to open up a good passing game to open up the running game, we still managed to run a lot of football, a lot of yards. Again. Najee 4 seasons in a row with 1,000 yards. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And Jalen Warren to put up the yards he put up right next to that. So again, you want to see it continue to get better, but considering the situations that we've had, we've ran the ball pretty well over the past couple of seasons, Mike.
Yeah. I'm going to pull it up real quick to see where we finished in rushing. Real quick here. We were like 12th, in rushing yards per game. That's not bad. 121 yards a game.
No, considering that we're 29th in the league in touchdowns scored, 12th in rushing. That's
I'd take 120 yards rushing, timely, nice, good runs right there, control the clock. You don't need to be ungodly like Baltimore and Philly at like 180 and 192. Those two are outliers. Detroit's next that line at like 149. So we're not that far off from, being up there as a really good run team. So yeah, I have no problem with the way we run the ball. I just want to, I'm just tired of that toss sweep. The toss sweep, it worked twice last year. Can we retire it?
Why do they do the things that don't work so often and the things
that if you run that,
not enough? I don't get that.
Yeah. I just don't know if Najee was the back for that play. Now, maybe Johnson from highlights in college looks like he can be that guy. Jalen Warden, limited opportunities on that sweep, can be that guy. Run it with those two guys. If it works, keep running it until teams stop it.
Kenneth says the amazing thing about our run game is teams stacked the box because they didn't fear our passing game. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And that's going to continue because you only have one guy of star caliber to cover in your receiving core. Now you could focus on the run more. And now you're not scared of again, Mike, there's a lot of things that have to happen for this team to make that significant turn. It's not easy, and that's why we've been struggling. But again, a lot more answers than questions has kind of been my theme of the day, Mike, about this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Again, the OTA is done till next week. They'll be back, I think, the middle of the next week, through the end of the week to wrap up OTAs. And I believe after that, Mike, it's on. We wait for camp to start. So,
Yeah.
guys, it's here. We were back in March saying, this is going to take forever to get to football season. But here we are again, going into June this weekend, Mike. We're pretty close. The kids are done with school. New crop of kids graduated. They're out in the real world. And I do want to say congratulations to every single one of them. I know that that's a journey we all went through, Mike, K to 12. And I mean, the first so many years of your life. So great to see a new crop of kids coming out into the world. I hope them all the best, every single one of them. But it's that time of year, and you know what that means. The next step is football, guys. It's going to be Friday night football in high school. It's going to be college on Saturday afternoons. It's going to be our Steelers, and it's going to be Monday nights and Sunday nights and Thursday nights and Saturday afternoons and Christmas days and Thanksgivings. And so it's coming slowly but surely. All the other sports, as they pass and get completed, Mike, that just gets you a little bit closer to the Pittsburgh Steelers and our football here in Pittsburgh. Baseball in the high school level was wrapping up. I see, Mike, that the Edmonton Oilers in the NHL, they advance. They win 6-3 over Dallas in the deciding game last night to win the series 4-1. So Edmonton is off to the Stanley Cup Finals to take on the Florida Panthers in Game 1.
Rematch.
That's Wednesday, Mike. This is the 6th consecutive year a Florida team has been in the Stanley Cup Finals.
That's wild. Who would have thought? And who would have thought this all started the Panthers run with the Penguins losing?
They wouldn't have got
Chicago.
in. If we would have got in, if we would have beat Chicago, they wouldn't have got in. They wouldn't have started their run. This could have all been thwarted. If our group of geriatric geezers could have just won that one game, they would have been their hands and knees thanking Pittsburgh.
Yes, thanking Ron Hextall for that collapse.
Yeah. Thank you, Ron Hextall. Could you imagine Ron Hextall is behind the big collapse for the Penguins? I mean, come on. I would have never hired that guy, but that's just me. Guys, one more thing about football here, because we do have to start getting ready to wrap it up shortly. Let me find this, guys. It's going to take me 2 seconds, but when I find that, I think you're going to get a good chuckle out of this. You may or may not have seen it or heard this. You may have. Guys, this here is, I find hysterical. Because we all love the Cowboys, the Cowgirls down in Texas. Guys, this is what head coach Brian Schottenheimer said about his quarterback, his $50 million quarterback. He says this, quote, "I think Dak is in the developmental phase. There's things we're tweaking with Dak." Dak is a $50 million quarterback who's going to be retiring soon. He's in a developmental stage. Dallas is definitely more delusional than we are, aren't they?
Yeah, if you're saying Dak is in a developmental stage, like
he's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, making $50 million a year. He's 32 years old. I don't want to hear that like developmental ever said about my quarterback. Like, no, because
we might be in a position, but at least we're not saying that. That's crazy. Like he's the highest paid quarterback in the league. I think.
Yeah. And 2 years ago, he had MVP numbers. 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns. He was like in conversations to be MVP. Yeah. Same thing in 2021. No, you can say, hey, we're tweaking as he's getting older. We're going to tweak his game a little bit.
Right.
Again, like we said yesterday, when I think we were talking about the Brian Reynolds. It's all about how you say it.
Right. Absolutely.
Because you don't want to say, "Oh, we're developing him." Like, no, hey, we're tweaking some things in his game. We're going to change up his mechanics a little bit. He's coming back from injury. We think we can, prolong his career and make him even better. Like, do these people think before they speak?
No.
Maybe this is why Tomlin speaks in stupid cliches.
He
cracked the code. Y'all going to call me an idiot anyway. I'm just going to talk about bullshit.
Mike Tomlin speaks in haiku, I think. Corey, let me see. Okay, gotta go back here. Mark Malone, I go into a trance, my dudes. I see the Steelers' future. It will be no Najee, 3.9 yards per carry. Mark Malone also says the toss sweep will work like a mofo this year. Corey, has you guys ever thought about doing live? We've talked about it. It's not out of the question, but the one thing that ultimately it comes down to, like myself, on game day, I like to watch the game. I like to focus. I don't mind doing the game, but I don't know if people want to take their attention away from the game to watch a live stream. I don't know. We have been talking about it, but again, there's certainly pros and cons. We have no problem with doing it. I just don't know if there's enough interest to be strummed up because there are people that out there that are doing it anyway. And then again, a lot of people, they just like to watch the game instead of other things going on around. But again, it's not out of the question, but that's kind of where we are.
It's been bounced around a lot.
Absolutely. Developmental, shaking my head, kind of says. And here we are disappointed. Will Howard is in the developmental stage.
Right? Oh, that's what I want to hear about my 32-year-old MVP candidate quarterback. Yeah, he's in the developmental stage.
Yeah. So we do got to move forward, guys. I know we're heading into the weekend. Everybody's kind of trying to see what the Steelers are going to do. They're looking to make a move. They're looking to add some firepower, and I'm right there with them, guys. Let's do it. Let's add some firepower and do something, Mike. Whatever you do, I'm behind it. Again, this is my team. They're black and gold. They come out. I support the team. And my
I'm still going to question their motives. Absolutely. And why are they doing it? But I still, I from putting myself in their shoes and the way the systems want to be run, I understand why they're doing some of the things, but it doesn't mean I agree with them.
Right. Mike, the women, our football team, the Pittsburgh Passion, big game. This is their first home game of the season, Mike. It starts the first of 3. They are hosting the Tampa Bay Infernos, the team who they beat the very first week of the season down in South Florida. Mike, they take on Tampa Bay tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. It's Slippery Rock University. Make the trek up there. They're encouraging tailgating as well up at the Pittsburgh Passion women's football game, the most dominant team in the WFA. Get up to Slippery Rock. If you don't get a chance, they've been putting them on YouTube, their games on YouTube. Check them out. I think you enjoy them. They're a lot of fun. And MVP quarterback Makai Chavez always puts on a clinic, Mike, for this Pittsburgh Passion team. Of course, she was here talking to us just a few weeks ago on the show. But if you get a chance, check these gals out. They're you know what? You don't.
They're good.
They're very good. They're very good.
And you can see how good they are compared to some of these other teams that, like you said, didn't know how to line up for a kickoff.
Philadelphia 2 weeks ago they were on the 50-yard line getting ready to kick the ball off.
Yeah.
But and then there was Washington last week. That team looked pretty good, and we still managed to beat them by 30 points or so.
Yeah, this shows how good this team is.
They really are, and they're led by an absolute star. Makai, I love her. I hope that they go undefeated. I hope she wins the MVP again.
Yeah.
Great team. Good luck to her and the gals. Hopefully they could finish this one undefeated and go all the way this year, Mike. So we'll keep an eye on them as well. Also, tomorrow we also have a couple other football teams in action. The soccer football teams, Pittsburgh Riverhounds. They are hosting the Rhode Island team, Mike. That's tomorrow at 7 o'clock. In the Riveters, it's today. Today is the rematch with Flower City. It's 7 o'clock today. They host Flower City, and then the Hounds host Rhode Island tomorrow at 7 o'clock. So some soccer down at Highmark Stadium and here in Pittsburgh. Get down and check out the football team. That's not the football team, but the football teams.
The football team.
The other football league that coming is down to week 10. I'm sorry, Mike. The UFL tonight. The St. Louis Battlehawks take on the DC Defenders. Mike's squad is at action tonight at 8 o'clock. That is the first game of week 10. Mike, the game's tomorrow. Houston at Michigan is at 3 o'clock. On Sunday, Arlington and San Antonio is a noon, and Birmingham at Memphis is a 3. And that wraps up the UFL season. The playoffs will then be after that, Mike. It'll be the top 4 teams, 2 teams from the XFL division conference, and 2 teams from the UFL conference. And the winners will go at it for the championship after we get winners of those games, Mike. So the UFL kicking it off tonight. Week 10, last week of the UFL, another telltale sign that we're just that much closer to the NFL. Mike,
So
UFL
close.
is wrapping it up this weekend.
So close. Beer Snake all the way, DC Defenders all the way. We are going to fight through the BS. We are going to beat the Seattle Battlehawks or the St. Louis Battlehawks in St. Louis.
Speaking of BS, the Pittsburgh Pirates are back at it tonight. Mike, they travel to San Diego to take on the Padres tonight as game 1 of 3, a 9:40 start, way out on the West Coast. Tomorrow they play 9:40 as well, and then Sunday they play at 5:10 to wrap up the series. The Pirates are 14.5 games out of first place in the division, sitting at 21-36. The Padres come into the series with a 31-23 record. Mitch Keller will be on the hill tonight. He comes in with a 1-6 record, which I think is an absolute shame. With 1-6, 3.66, and 55 strikeouts on the season. The Padres bring Nick Pivetta. He comes up with a 5-2, a 2.72, and 63 strikeouts on the season. Saturday's game will be featuring Bailey Falter on the mound, and Sunday, Haney will be pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
If the offense can keep going, they have a chance tonight, I think, to actually have a proper winning streak.
San Diego is really hard for us to beat out in San Diego.
I know, and they're a pretty good ball club too.
They are.
But if the offense comes around, and Mitch Keller hasn't been pitching bad at all. I think he had like one bad game that inflated his ERA.
Yeah.
And so if they can get run support, man, I think tonight's the night we win the 3rd game in a row.
Here you go, Mike. Don Kelly, only 3 wins from tying Derek Shelton's win total for the season. He took over the team on May 9, and he's 3 wins away, Mike, for tying.
No, not bad.
Not bad. Again, the Pirates come in with a 21-36 record. One other pretty cool piece of information: Paul Skeens is only behind Dutch Leonard all time, and just ahead of Babe Ruth all time. His 2nd lowest ERA before his 23rd birthday, Mike. Dutch Leonard with a 1.86, Paul Skeens 2.03, and Babe Ruth 2.07. Paul Skeens, again, the 2nd lowest ERA before his 23rd birthday in baseball history. Too bad he can't get that run support a little bit more often.
Exactly. I was watching some highlights of him, and he was just painting the strike zone. People are like, he's like Greg Maddux on steroids. And it's just how hard and how fast he was throwing, but with the pinpoint accuracy, dude's freak. He is a freak.
Mike, also the Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby, he'll be featured as a part of the Prime Video's next season of Face Off inside the NHL. This will kick off, Mike, as soon as the playoffs are done. So if you are a fan of the Penguins or Sidney Crosby, he will be featured in this season of Face Off inside the NHL.
Yeah, and a lot of people online are like surprised that he's allowing them that kind of access because he's a very private person. So
right.
A lot of fans now are going, okay, is this the end of Crosby? Is next year it for him? Are these the last 2 years? Is that why he's doing this? So Penguin fans are up in a kerfuffle about this.
Kerfuffle.
I just wanted to say kerfuffle. I don't know if that was the right word to use, but I'm rolling
wasn't.
with it.
But
probably wasn't, but God damn it, kerfuffle.
But the word that has effect like that, it doesn't matter. You could just use it anywhere.
Exactly.
Mike, we did mention the NHL, the NBA finally strays from the pattern.
Yes.
It is the NHL NBA. Mike, as the Oilers advance in hockey, the Knicks managed to beat the Pacers last night to keep that series going. They went 111-94, keeping the Pacers series, the Pacers ahead of the series 3-2. Game 6 is tomorrow at 8:00. Whoever wins the series goes on to play Oklahoma City in the NBA Finals. Mike, again, the Pacers 3, the Knicks 2. The winner goes on to play the waiting Oklahoma City Thunder. Mike, again, finally, the NBA and the NHL finally go a different direction in this playoff run.
Dude, if the Nets come back, this is gonna be a pretty big collapse for Indy.
Yeah,
Yeah, how well they had that series under control. I think that whoever wins this, they're gonna end up losing in like 5 or 6 games to OKC. I think they're just that dominant this year. But yeah, the Nets, man, if they pull this off, whoo.
And also, Mike, speaking of some basketball, Caitlin Clark, again, of course, not on the court tonight. She's still out with her quad injury. Her team, the Indiana Fever, they host the Connecticut Sun tonight at 7:30. The Sun coming with an 0-5 record. The Fever dropped 2-3. They're going to try to improve on that again without Caitlin. It's been rough, but that is tonight. They go at it at 7:30 in the WNBA. And one more thing about the NFL before we do start getting ready to wrap things up, Mike. Deontay Johnson, he doesn't show up for OTAs either. So if anybody needs practice in getting them hands ready
you
for
the
the
season.
Them hands.
Hey, they might be in midseason form already. That's why he knows it. He's like, I'm good, man. I can run my routes. I'll just drop him. He's already running backwards, so he's good to go.
There you go. In case you missed it, Deontay Johnson skips Cleveland OTA. So this, I mean, come on, this is going to be as fun as anything else watching this Cleveland team play out this year with everything they have going on over there. Let me grab a couple more of these messages. Damn near Rudolph 2025's numbers
for Dak's.
Oh, numbers. For Dak, yeah, come on.
When I saw that, that made me laugh.
Corey says Mason is in the developmental stage as well. Joe, I feel like coaches have developed. Yeah, I think so too. There's definitely some teams, some positions on this team that I would like to see better performance by the coaches. Maybe we'll get a little into that a little bit more next week, Mike. Jen says I'm not going to tell you the ingredients of the hot dog. You may not like it. yeah. Wasn't that a Tomlinism?
Yep.
Why don't you do a Mikeism and I can tell everybody about the website?
The 2WInjures.com. You know what's over there. But if you don't, if you're new, hop on over there. We got all of the links to Ryan and I's social medias over there, more than what I have listed over here on YouTube. Got a little merch store over there, some funny t-shirts. Get Ryan's. Listen. Let me hear it, Ryan.
No, but you know what? I did that. Listen, I was yelling at the cat last night. And I caught myself doing that. You know how I'm always like, I don't do that. I don't say that often. You tell me that. And I was yelling at the cat and the cat wasn't listening. And I caught myself going, listen. So apparently I do say it. So the shirt rings through.
Yeah. Told you, bro. Told you.
It's a fine shirt, I got to say.
It is a fine shirt.
The standard is the development, is what Kenneth says. The standard is the development.
The standard is the development. The2WInjures.com.
Go check it out, everybody. www.the2WInjures.com. That's www.the2WInjures.com. My question of the day.
Yes.
It's Pittsburgh sports. This is a Pitt question, Mike, because we did get the schedule released for those few games. And we also, as I said, were featured in the beginning, the trailer for the new college football 26, Mike, against West Virginia. So the question of the day is this, guys. Mike, put on your thinking caps. Everybody on the board, everybody at home, here we go. In the series between Pitt and West Virginia, who has more wins? Mike, overall, in the series between Pitt and West Virginia, which team holds the edge of the two? Take a minute to think that over. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day right here on the tube. On
the tube. He's like an old person watching TV. Turn on the boob tube.
Right here on YouTube, baby. My question of the day is this. In the series between Pitt and West Virginia, the backyard brawl, if you will, which one of these two teams possesses the most wins between them? Who holds the series lead? I guess I should say, Mike. Let me start with you. Do you have any guesses? Richard on the board saying Pitt.
Mm-hmm. That's who I was going to go with. I may not like them, but the Pitt Panthers. That's my answer.
All right, so that's going to be your final answer.
Final answer.
All right, Mike. You're reacting as if that's an easy one. So I trust your confidence. I'm gonna lock you in place. You said Pitt. Richard says Pitt. Question of the day. In the backyard brawl series between the Pitt Panthers and the West Virginia Mountaineers, which one of these two football teams hold the edge? We got all Pitts. Nobody said West Virginia, Mike. And that's why we do have these smartest people on this show, viewers, everybody. Mike Pitt, 64, 41, and 3. 64, 41, and 3.
Holy shit. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. West Virginia is actually kind of shitty. I mean, they're just so close. That's why this is a thing.
Yeah.
If they weren't close, I mean, nobody
Yeah.
would give two shits about West Virginia.
Like, when was it the last time that they were good? Geno Smith?
Probably.
I'm just trying to think, and that's like the last time I can remember them being like a threat.
Now, I do want to say this. I want to throw this out there because I don't want to seem like I'm a hater. I do know that there's a lot of great Pittsburgh fans and people that are related and trek, make the trek,
Yeah.
and love our Pittsburgh teams. But it's that West Virginia football team. Just not. It's gross. I don't know. To me, it's gross.
The only good thing they ever did is produce Zach Frazier
and
Beanie Bishop
and burn their city down every time they win a game.
Got to burn a couch, baby.
But there are many great people from that area of the country. No two ways about it. And I know that we have a lot of fans for our teams, so they're all right with me, Mike. What else do we got? Anything before we start to wrap things up for today?
I got nothing. I had something. I had it saved on Twitter, and I've been looking for it through my bookmarks, and apparently I did not save it. So I got nothing.
My thing is this: basically, if you're going to keep up with the Pittsburgh sports through the weekend, the Pirates have the 3-game series against the Padres in San Diego. That game starts tonight at 9:40. They do play all through the weekend with San Diego. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds and the Rivers in action tonight and tomorrow. The Hounds tomorrow. The Rivers today. Both at home at Highmark Stadium. Get down and check out these soccer teams this weekend. If you're not really into soccer, maybe you could go up a little bit north to Slippery Rock University to see the Pittsburgh Passion host the Tampa Bay Inferno in the first game of their home schedule of the season. That game is tomorrow evening at Slippery Rock. Get out there. They're encouraging. They want you to get up, enjoy yourself, have fun, and tailgating is encouraged. Also, Mike, the UFL wraps up their regular season this weekend. Again, all 4 games, one tonight, 1 Saturday, and 2 Sunday. In the UFL will be heading into playoff mode next week. So there will be some American football on TV this week. And again, these are some pretty important games in the UFL this weekend. So there's going to be some good games on. Also that, Mike. And finally, the Knicks are the only team that's trying to the Knicks and the Pacers, the only series that's trying to get to the finals. In the NHL, the Oilers, they win. They're off to play Florida in the Stanley Cup. But the NBA, Mike, the Knicks, with the win last night, they draw a game closer. It's still 3-2 in favor of Indiana. Again, the winner of that series goes on to play OKC. Game 6 is tomorrow at 8. And then for our Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike, the OTAs pick back up next week. But you know what? That's small talk right now because everything that we're hearing, Mike, there's a lot of trade talk as of yesterday, and the possibility of going out and getting a player to play opposite side, DK, somebody to create a little bit more offensive power for our Steelers this coming season. So, Mike, a lot of things to watch for this weekend and keep on top of. And I know one thing, we will be on top of it all, and we'll be back on first thing on Monday morning to talk about all this stuff and a lot more. Mike, who knows? We may have additions to our football team the next time that we all get together. We could have who knows? Again, a lot more answers, a lot more questions than answers is my theme of the day here on the show. Mike.
Yeah, I'm checking on Twitter. No new Steeler updates. Nothing that's gonna sneak through us like they did yesterday.
I do want to say thank you to everybody for coming and hanging out and checking us out today. We appreciate each and every one of you. We truly, honestly do. We wouldn't do it without you guys. Every single one of you. Thank you so much. Everybody on the board, you guys are always so awesome and always keep things interesting here on the show. Such a big part of everything. Everybody that's at home, everybody that's at work. Maybe you're just sitting at home smoking Terry Bongshaw. And you just got it on the big TV. And everybody, thank you. Greatly appreciated. We are very thankful for you.
Yes.
Jen said, "Did you guys see Baking with Beanie Bishop? Need to see the guys in their home setting." I did not. Oh
God,
I did not. It might be interesting. I'll check that out. But again, a lot of stuff to keep up with this weekend, guys. We'll be back Monday at our regular time to do it all over again. Mike, anything else? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yes, have a good weekend, everyone. Can't wait to do it again next week.
Absolutely. Stay safe, everybody. crazy world out there around us anymore. Stay safe. Keep an eye on your people, family, everything like this. We hope to see everybody back. Have a great weekend, everybody. For Mike in the Steeler Central Mobile Studio, for myself. Also, I do want to say, don't forget to go check out the social media pages. Mike, we are all over social media. Facebook,
All
X,
over.
Instagram, Threads, anywhere you could go. And also, might as well, while you're here, click the subscribe, share, and like button. That helps us out. So thank you so much, everybody, for Mike, myself, the two Dumb Yinzers. Have a great, great weekend. We hope to see everybody back on Monday.